So for our role play section today, we'll be focusing on actually presenting the role play that we prepped in the previous workshop. So let's get into that. So there are a couple of presentation strategies that are just key to keep in mind. So the first thing is to know that first impression starts before the role play begins, and that means that even before you start talking to your judge, you're making an impression on them. When you're coming out of hold and you're walking up to them, that's when the role play starts. That's when you start building your connection to the judge. So if you just give them a smile, right? If you just maintain eye contact, try to be friendly with that judge, it'll be very good for you. Then you also want a firm and confident handshake. This will also just build your the image of you in the judge's eyes. If you give them a weak handshake, they might think that you're not entirely engaged in this. They might not like you from that point on in your presentation. And then when you're hitting PIs, you gotta use the exact wording of your PI. Like if it says that you need to explain the role of promotion in a marketing function, you have to say, and I would like to explain the role of promotion to you, just to make sure that it clicks in their brain that you are talking about that PI, so they can give you the maximum amount of points. And then you want to maintain eye contact as much as possible, and this goes into that professionalism and that building that relationship with your judge to make that judge really approve of you. Then at certain points, the judge will become disinterested, so you do need to try to be energetic and bring them back into the presentation, because 10 minutes is a long time to just be talking to one person, right? They will at certain points get disinterested. So when you see that, when you see the visual cues of their eyes drifting away, just not really being 100% focused on what you're saying, then you're gonna wanna be more energetic, bring them in, use big words to or big ear catching words to get them to tune back in and make sure that they think what you're saying is very important to the role play. And then you're always going to want to talk slower than you think you have to, because when you're in that role play, you're going to have a lot of adrenaline and you're going to be talking very fast like this, like you're not going to be taking any pauses at all. But what you want to do is talk slower than you even think is comfortable, so that you know that you're bringing across your ideas clearly to the judge and that they can understand them very clearly. And then you also really want to be animated, like you want to use your hands, have good facial expressions. You know, that goes into being bringing the judge back into being energetic and into being interested and energetic, so you can be 100% focused on your role play. And then you're going to want to use your time to the fullest. Now, in some certain circumstances, you may not use your entire 10 minutes, but you do want to be using all of your time possible to convey all of your great ideas. And finally, you really don't want to read directly off of your prep sheet, because the judge will think that you don't really, you're not 100% focused if you have to look right down at your prep sheet while you're delivering the PI or giving a solution, right? So what you're going to want to do is direct them to props and that you can both look at to be able to, just give them or give yourself that time to read your prep sheet.
Alright, so as far as standing out from the competition, which is ultimately what's going to help you win, here are some quick tips. So use industry-specific and business-specific vocabulary. So for example, if you're in a marketing event, you want to use marketing-specific vocab to really show the judge that you understand the content and that you have that higher level understanding. Additionally, you want to incorporate modern business trends and news. So for example, with the increase of AI, you might want to talk about how you can incorporate AI into your business solution. That way the judge knows that you're up to the cutting edge standards and that your ideas are going to work in the current market. Next, you want to utilize your props. So what this means is, when you make your props in prep, you want to know how you're going to present them to the judge, how you're going to use those props to make your role play even more creative. And then another big advantage of props is it can actually help you read directly off of your notes. So for example, if you put some notes on props, you can direct the judge's attention to the prop, and then while the judge is looking at the prop, you can read right off of the prop, since you don't need to maintain eye contact while they're reading your prop. The next thing is that you can use statistics to support your ideas. So let's say you're making a claim about customer behavior. Well, that claim would be a lot more effective if you had statistics backing it up. And the great thing about DECA is these statistics don't need to be true. You can just make them up. You can pencil in a bar graph that shows, what technology consumers are buying. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to support your claim. Next, you want to say what the judges want to hear and get into the investor's view. So this is kind of putting yourself in the judge's shoes. Think about it. They've been judging for 6 to 8 hours that day. So you want to make sure that you're saying something engaging, and you're also, replying to the information they want to hear from the role play, and you're giving them the solutions that would actually solve the problem. And then the last thing is you want to talk with confidence. The judge isn't just grading your ideas, they're also grading how you present it. And this means if you're able to speak with confidence, you're able to speak, in a way that shows you're passionate and you're happy about the topic that you're presenting, it's going to come off as a much more genuine and much more effective presentation.
Alright, so now we would like you to start presenting your role play. If you're just watching this video, you can just present to a wall or to a sibling or to a parent, anything like that. And then, yeah. So now that you guys have hopefully presented a role play, we're going to start to talk about our writtens and pitch decks. And we're going to talk about creating our pitch deck and actually writing our writtens. So for our pitch decks, this will obviously be a 20 slideshow that you will present to the judge, and that the judge will have access to shortly before they see you. So some key tips are to minimize the text, and that the judges will only peruse it shortly before you present, like at most an hour or two before you present. And then you're also going to want to create a complete loose script going over all of the important content that you have in your written. So for integrated marketing campaigns, this will be very important, and as well as the innovation plan and I think it's just start a business plan. So because this is the only impression that the judge gets of you, so you must have a complete idea of what you want to get across. Then you're also going to want to use your slide space to draw attention to important details that you want judges to remember. These can be statistics, they can just be overall functions of your business, they can be innovative strategies that you will use in certain areas, but they will just be very important and unique to your business. And then finally, you really do want to make unique visuals that all have purposes in the slideshow, and you don't want to just use clip art that just is there to make the slideshow look good.
20-page written tips. So the first tip, don't get attached to your first draft. I know most of y'all guys think that, of course I won't, but most of the time you will. And knowing your written, you're gonna change your idea a couple times and change your draft at least 10. So please do not get attached to your first draft. And so how to start? So you build your plan first and build your draft around that, adding small details to sound the wireframe of the plan, making it all complete, where there's no holes inside your presentation, so the judge can truly understand your point of reference and your business plan. If you want to add a detail to your written, make sure you have some research to back it up. Research is key. It makes the investors feel safer in their idea to invest in you, right? So by making you sound more credible, the judges will of course give you more points. And so the split should be 66 to 33 between written content and visual content. That's the most ideal split if you want it to be a sound plan and make it also appealing to the judge while also being very informative. All visuals must have a reason for being there. We don't need unnecessary stuff inside your written just to add fluff. We want everything to be useful so you can get your point across without your judge getting distracted. That's all.
So now we're going to go into targeted written tips for all of the clusters of events.
So as far as entrepreneurship goes, some tips for writing the 20-page entrepreneurship writtens include making sure you have a centralized theme. So for example, if your business focuses on sustainability, you want to make sure you're writing about sustainability, but also that all the images kind of have a theme of sustainability, and that even the color scheme you're using, the logo you're using, the font you're using, all conveys to the judge one central theme, so that they really know the identity of your business and the brand image that you're aiming to have in the market. Another entrepreneurship tip, and really a tip for all clusters, would be to make sure that you're citing the research. And anytime you make a claim in your written, it's good to back it up with a statistic or like a claim from an expert to make sure that the claims you're making and the conclusions you're drawing are accurate and supported by empirical evidence.
Some tips for marketing writtens, such as integrated marketing, and that's really all, right? Integrated marketing campaigns. So one of the biggest tips out there is to make sure you really elaborate on how your marketing relates to your target market, how you can reach your target market. Though, yeah, of course it's marketing, but you really need to get that point across no matter what, as that's the most important thing you can do. Another tip is, yeah.
Okay, then for the research events, the biggest tip will be to obviously keep reminding your judge and that and whoever's reading it about what your research is aiming to accomplish and the results of it. You really want to make sure that the research is also sound. You want to make sure that that your conclusions that you're drawing are based off of real evidence and real past proof of concept. And then for the project management, honestly, I don't think any of us knows too much about it, but an important thing to do would just to be keeping in mind all the steps that you took in the project to accomplish it, because the written is pretty much just a run through of what you did to plan your project, to execute your project, to finish it, and then like a reflection on that. So that's just the main point for the project. Alright, so if you're ready to start writing your written, you can do that now, especially if you have already completed your plan and the outlines that we talked about in the previous workshop. But if you need to continue with research and planning, you absolutely should. You don't want to start writing until you have that entire planning document, that entire research document filled out, filled to the brim with everything that you